Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me. If you watched my first video, thanks so much for your support. Welcome back if you're coming here again. Welcome if you are new. I hope you enjoy this new video. Yeah, so it's been a weird couple of days. I'm pretty pissed because of the US elections. I kind of have a lot to say, honestly. Like, I was gonna go on a full-on rant in these videos, but honestly, all I have to say to people who voted for Trump, maybe for the first time, but especially if you voted for him again, is shame on you, but I highly doubt they have any sense of shame. So I'm just gonna leave them with the immortal words of Antoine Dodson.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
As you can see, I'm in my comfy blanket and my little comfy headband thing. Trying to be warm. It's getting colder nowadays. And today's video is going to be about what I'm currently reading and my to-be-read books that I kind of want to read most immediately. Okay. So what I usually do with books is that, like, when I get them, I kind of just start reading a few pages immediately. So I kind of, wow, my hair is acting up. That's what happens when you have kind of short hair. It just kind of like goes everywhere. Anyway, yeah, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, I kind of start books and then just like stop reading them when I get other books, and then like go back to some books later on, and you know, sometimes I leave books halfway through if they're just not interesting to me, but I'm trying not to do that, especially if I like pay money for a book. I want to actually finish it. But yeah, so technically I have a bunch of books that I've started reading. Technically, I said technically twice, didn't I? Okay. I start a bunch of books, or I have started a bunch of books, and haven't finished all of them, but I wouldn't classify them as being in my currently reading list because I'm not actively trying to read those books. So yeah, I'm just gonna talk about a couple that I am kind of actively focusing on and like alternating between, and then a couple of books that I want to read soon because they are kind of spooky season themed, but I didn't get to them during spooky season, so I kind of want to get to them now, or as close as possible to spooky season. So anyway, I started reading Dune a few months ago because I heard about the movie and I didn't really know that this book existed before that. I heard about the new movie that was supposed to come out in November, and now they've postponed it to next October, so that's kind of sad because I wanted to finish the book before the movie came out this year, and then once I found out the movie wasn't coming out this year, I kind of started reading other books, TBH. But yeah, so far I think I'm about like 1/4 of the way through. As you can see, it's a chonker, but also the book is kind of narrow compared to most books. So yeah, also I just want to like appreciate the cover of this book. It's so pretty, so minimalistic, so just look at it. And it's like matte but a bit textured, so I love touching it. Does anyone else like smelling book pages? Oh, a bookmark. Ugh. Yes. It looks like I'm smelling an ass crack, but I don't like doing that. Just books. I don't smell ass cracks for fun. Anyway, Dune's been pretty good. I kind of enjoy it. I would say that like when I started reading it, since I'd already read a bunch of like fantasy books throughout my life before this, and those books had come out after Dune, I kind of felt like I was seeing a lot of sci-fi tropes again in Dune. But of course, then I read more about Dune and found out that actually the reason we see so many of those tropes in a lot of fantasy and sci-fi books is that they originated in Dune. So Dune is kind of the prototype of a lot of what current sci-fi looks like. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty engaged with the story despite some of the tropes being a bit predictable. It's very like, it's very much kind of like a chosen one scenario where the main character is clearly predestined to be like the hero of the story, who has like special powers that are needed to save like certain civilizations, etc. So yeah, but despite kind of already knowing like how the plot probably will progress in certain areas, like it's still pretty interesting. It helps that the language isn't too dense, so you can get through it pretty quickly. There's a lot of dialogue, so that helps speed up the pace of the book. So yeah, I am quite enjoying it. I'm not sure if I will read the next 2 books in the main sort of core trilogy of Dune, because I've heard that just those aren't as interesting, and that this Dune is kind of like the only one that you need to read. So yeah, I'm excited to finish it. And yeah, I just kind of book feel wise as well, it's very satisfying to hold and read and like break the spine of. Yes, I do like to break the spines of books. Yeah. So, what was I gonna say? I spaced out again. Oh yeah, I'm also really excited for the movie because Timothée Chalamet is in it, and who doesn't like him? He's a cutie. Anyway, next book I'm also really excited about is Circe by Madeline Miller. First of all, take a moment to appreciate this cover as well. Both Dune and Circe have some of the nicest cover art I've seen. This is like a copper kind of metallic feel, and it's a bit textured as well, so that's so nice. It's so lovely and beautiful and detailed. The only thing I don't like is that there's a lot of praise plastered on the cover as well. I just really don't like a lot of words to be on the front cover because it just obstructs the cover art, so that's kind of annoying. I definitely think it would look much better with just the name of the book and the author on it. Anyway, I'm not a book cover designer. What do I know? Maybe it helps, oh, not maybe, it probably helps sell books. I never read the praise on the book. I've never had a moment where like the praise written on the cover of a book or anywhere else in the book, frankly, has made me buy the book. I don't know, like if that influences you, let me know in the comments, because I'm curious to know why it has an influence on people, because I feel like a lot of times people research books beforehand to know what they want to buy, or if they're just kind of randomly browsing a bookstore, they will read the back of the book and see if it's like interesting to them, and they'll look more at the genre that it's classified in to see if they'll actually like it. But yeah, anyway, this book, Circe, is about Circe, who is a figure in Greek mythology. She is a sorceress who is like one of the, like a main part of the Odyssey saga. So if you're familiar with the Odyssey or Greek mythology, you've probably heard of Circe. She's not like a hugely talked about character in Greek mythology because she's not a, you know, particularly powerful god. She's actually born as a nymph and is banished to an island when her dad, who is the Titan god Helios, finds out that she and her other like nymph siblings have like witchcraft power or sorcery. They're able to perform sorcery, which is threatening to the Olympian and Titan gods because it has a lot of, or witchcraft affords the witches a lot of powers that are not available to gods, I think. But anyway, they feel very threatened by her specifically and banish her to an island as punishment. And so this story is specifically about how she's born, like her childhood, in as much as a childhood exists for immortal gods. Just about her childhood, how that has shaped her perspective of the world because she was treated really badly as a child compared to her siblings and other people in her, not people, other nymphs and gods in her position. She was kind of considered very ugly, especially for a nymph, and especially because her mom was considered really beautiful. And so her mom really hated her and just kind of neglected her entire childhood. It's a very sad start to the story and you just feel so bad for her. But that is what causes her to have a lot more sympathy for the mortal world. Like there are certain events that happen early on in her life that make her wonder why mortals are seen as so wretched and unworthy of God's time and efforts. So that's a very interesting perspective because I feel like it's a timeless kind of issue of having sympathy and empathy, more importantly, for those not as privileged as us, and how oftentimes showing empathy for people who are, you know, suffering and people who don't have the same opportunities or the same life circumstances as you, and wanting to help them out, wanting to give up your own privilege in order to help people less privileged than you, can often be seen as really like an unworthy cause, and you could be mocked for it. People might think you're kind of like insane, like why would you want to do this? And it also illustrates how people without the same privileges as us can often be seen as just unworthy of rights, or unworthy of our help. That kind of was illustrated a bit with, you know, Circe wondering why Prometheus gave mortals fire, which he was not supposed to do, and that's why Prometheus was punished for eternity, if you're familiar with Prometheus. Circe shows, you know, some empathy for Prometheus and starts to wonder, you know, she asks him why he did what he did and like how come he did this thing when he wasn't supposed to care about mortals. And that's how she finds out and realizes that not all gods need to be the same way. So yeah, that's kind of how it begins, and I really am enjoying the style of writing too, because it's lyrical without being overly expository and overly descriptive. I hate writing that is overly descriptive of scenery and setting. I prefer writing that is more dialogue heavy and sparse on the description, like visual description at least. Yeah, I mean like visual description is really my pet peeve. And this kind of has a good balance of that, so you get a sense of like where people are, but it's still very kind of easy to read and get through. You're not like trudging through dense, hard to understand language. It flows very well, and it's kind of, as I said before, it's pretty lyrical and pretty to read. And yeah, so there was a lot of like, there's a lot of praise for this book, and I heard a lot about it from other booktubers and such, so that's why I really wanted to try it out. And her first book, Song of Achilles, is also really well received by book reviewers and critics, so I think I will be reading that book after reading this, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this book. I'm about 100 pages in already. This book's about like 300 pages, so yeah. The last book that I would consider myself currently reading is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. It is basically a day in the life of this woman, Mrs. Dalloway, and she's preparing for a dinner party, and this is just like what happens throughout the day. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about this book yet, because I'm only kind of at the beginning still, and I have read To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf before in college, and I think I medium liked that book. I wasn't like a huge fan, but like I also didn't dislike it. I liked the themes around it, and I liked analyzing it, so we'll see about this one. I'm trying to read more classics, because there's so many classics that I feel like I just have not read, and that people keep referencing in life, and I want to know, like, I want to understand those references. That's one of the reasons that I'm trying to read more classics. Yeah, don't have much to say about this yet. Not a huge fan of the cover, it's just kind of meh, like, okay, whatever. I don't like these kinds of things where there's like a tab inside. Yeah. So now on to my TBR list, or to be read list. Firstly, I want to read this cool book. So two of these are like spooky season books, and then one of them is just like a book of essays. The first one I want to read is My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I think that's how you say it. First of all, as always, look at the cover. It's so pretty. I just love this. I usually don't like it when covers include people's like faces or like people on the cover, but this art style I'm a huge fan of. I don't know what you call this style of art, but I really love it. It's just so kind of retro and like, yeah. And I also really like the neon green, because I feel like not a lot of books use green on their covers, although I have been seeing more green covers lately. The author is Nigerian British. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of like books by Nigerian authors that have green covers, and I wonder if it's because the Nigerian flag has green in it. It's such a random thought, but what if it's true? Conspiracy. Anyway, yeah, this book is really interesting. This is the author's first book, and it's not very long. As you can see inside, like the font is also quite big, so I don't suspect it'll take me very long to get through it. There seems to be a lot of dialogue in it too, so that'll be pretty fast to read. But basically the book is about this woman whose sister is a serial killer, as you might imagine from the title. But basically she has the sister has a habit of kind of killing off abusive boyfriends. Are they abusive? Let's see. Well, it says she kills them off for self-defense, in air quotes, so we don't know why. Well, I don't know why she kills them off yet, but eventually the sister starts dating someone from the main character's workplace who the main character really likes, and so now she's kind of like in a dilemma of like trying to not allow her sister to like kill this guy, but also she has been helping her sister dispose of the bodies of the previous people that she's killed, and helping her clean up the crime scene. And so yeah, that's basically what the plot is according to the blurb. Excited to read this one. Then the other one that I wanted to like read this during October, but didn't read a lot during October at all, unfortunately, so I'm trying to read all my spooky season books like now-ish. Circe is actually a spooky season book as well, because it's about witches and whatnot. But yeah, so the other thing I wanted to read for spooky season is Stephen King's Pet Sematary, a classic, which I have not read. So yeah, it's you know, it's about a cemetery for pets that I assume is haunted in some way. I just want to comment that I really don't like this cover. It's just so boring. It's like not... Why is the author's name bigger than the book title? I don't like that. I hate that. Like, everyone already knows who Stephen King is. Like, I know that they want to do it so that like people are attracted to the author's name and like everyone knows who he is, so they, you know, see his name and like run to the book, but like, I don't know, feels kind of lazy to me. Yeah. Anyway, it says that this book is an iconic terror book, by the way, so yeah, I'm ready to be terrified. And then finally on my TBR is this little book of essays that I randomly got. It's called Azadi, which means freedom in Hindi and Urdu. It's by an Indian author called Arundhati Roy, who has written a Booker Prize winning book in the past. She's a pretty well-known author in India and in literary circles, I guess. This is just like a collection of her essays about things like, as you can see, freedom, fascism, and fiction. Not too sure what the specific essays are about, but I just saw this on the website of a bookstore, and they were selling it for really cheap, although this is like a very recent publication. I guess they sell like essay collections for cheaper than like traditional fiction books and stuff. So yeah, it's not very long, but I guess it'll be like philosophically dense. So yeah. Yeah, I'm interested in reading it. The author is also like a pretty big like political activist in India as well, and she's pretty controversial from what I've read. So yeah, I don't really know what I will think of her views. I'll probably have, you know, there will probably be some things that I agree with and some things that I disagree with, so it'll be interesting to discuss later on. But yeah, they were selling it for cheap, so I just thought I'd add it to my basket. Yes, shout out to Kenny's Bookshop in Galway, free shipping in Ireland, very cheap shipping for the rest of the world. So if you're looking for books, go to Kenny's Bookshop. Kenny's.ie, I think, is the website name. I'll link it in the description box. Support their business. They're a very nice local Irish business from Galway, and yeah, they ship all around the world. I had some books shipped from Kenny's to my parents' place in Bombay for their birthdays last month. So yeah, well, that brings me to the end of my TBR list. Say hi to Gumby. He was revealed slowly as I removed my books. He's actually not dead, I think. Yeah, so contrary to what I said in my first video, he's still alive. So yay! Yay for keeping plants alive. Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to end this. I wanted to start doing like a little segment sometimes where I like show you an outfit that I've curated for a specific day, because these days, like, because we're in a second lockdown, we really don't have anywhere to go, and I need a reason to wear my outside clothes. And I'm making that reason myself. So I'm gonna wear outfits for an outfit of the day segment in my videos now, because I just like kind of creating outfits for different occasions, or just whatever days. I mean, the only occasions that are happening these days is grocery shopping. So I just wear like carefully curated outfits to go walk in a couple of grocery stores, which is what I did this morning. I'm actually wearing that outfit still, but I filmed a little like fashion show thing that I will insert right now earlier in the day when there was sunlight and I could have some proper lighting for it. And yeah, so I'm just wearing a black turtleneck sweater, classic dark academia staple, and dark brown sort of faux leather type pants. Yes, I am not wearing shoes in the video. I'm not wearing shoes in the segment because I try not to wear shoes in my outside shoes in my room. Asian things, hashtag Asian styles. So yes, I am wearing flip-flops in the segment, but I actually wore my black and white sneakers when I went outside. And yeah, and I'm wearing a black felt coat. I'm not sure what that style is called, but a classic black tailored coat that I got from Penny's ages ago. Penny's is called Primark outside of Ireland. And yeah, that was my outfit of the day. Yeah, but I'm just a bit more cozy now, so I'm not gonna get up and show you the rest of my outfit. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative and you kind of maybe found some books that you might like to read at some point. Let me know if you read any of the books that I mentioned, what you thought of them in the comments. If you're excited to read any books, let me know below as well. Say hi to Gumby in the comments. He appreciates being talked to. Maybe that's why he's continuing to grow despite my poor plant caring techniques, because I keep talking to myself all the time, you know? It's the little things, guys. It's the little things. Anyway, thanks a lot for joining me. I hope you join again next time. And thanks!